It is 1:01. Good afternoon from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I'm Jackson Williams. In Titans news, rookies arrived at St. Thomas Sports Park yesterday for rookie minicamp this weekend, and the team announced they have signed 5 of their 9 draft picks to their rookie contract. Safety Kevin Winston Jr., wide receiver Elick Aomanor, guard Jackson Slater, cornerback Marcus Harris, and running back Khalil Mullings. In the NBA playoffs, the Minnesota Timberwolves took down the Golden State Warriors 117-93 to take a 2-0 lead in that series. And tonight we have a playoff doubleheader with the Cavs and Pacers facing off at 6:30, followed by the Thunder and the Nuggets tipping off at 9 o'clock. Tennessee baseball is back for another SEC series this weekend as they take on in-state rival Vanderbilt at Lindsey Nelson Stadium. First pitch is at 4:30, and you can hear the game right here on The Zone following 3HL at 6 o'clock. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, you need to visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. 615-737-1045 is the number. Oh, boy.
Glorious.
Listen, I know that people want to talk about rookie minicamp. I know people want to talk about the 5 rookies that have already signed their contract and all that kind of stuff. I get it.
Did it start today?
I get it. It started, I think,
Technically.
Yeah,
Technically
today.
So they were out on the field.
Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Jackson, did you go?
Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Quit using your fingers.
But I have to get into this podcast that dropped this morning. Pablo Torre finds out. PTFO. And he broke. Pablo Torre, for those that may not know, is from the Dan Le Batard show and has grown his own kind of voice and podcast and platform. And he did an investigation into this whole Jordan Hudson, or Jordan, I guess, because it's an O-N, Jordan Hudson and Bill Belichick situation, their relationship, and how he has talked to 11 people that have worked with Jordan Hudson in some form or fashion since the whole Bill Belichick thing came down, like since they've been dating. So people that have worked with her at UNC, people that have worked with her on these commercial sets, on these podcast negotiations, on the Hard Knocks negotiations that she was a part of. And lots of information has come out.
Investigative reporter, that's what you should be.
I basically, he did all the work. I'm just listening. So I think the biggest part of this whole story is that, and this is the part of the story that everybody's kind of talked about today, but there's so much more in the podcast than just this, is that the sources tell Pablo that Bill Belichick's girlfriend, Jordan Hudson, is now banned from UNC's football facility. One Belichick family source says there is a deep worry for how detrimental Jordan can be for not just North Carolina, but Bill's legacy, reputation, everything is built and worked for over decades. Since then, UNC has come out with their own PR statement and said that, hey, this isn't true, blah, blah, blah. But they never really...
This isn't true that
she's been asked not to be around.
Okay.
Or banned. And I think Pro Football Talk put out because, Mike Florio, former lawyer and all that kind of stuff, he kind of went to and talked about, let's see, what did he say? North Carolina says that Jordan Hudson is welcome at the football facilities, but very curious, they didn't say that she was actually employed or anything. So they didn't kind of put it like as an employee or whatever, even though she is in the employee directory. More on that later. Pablo Torre since has said, UNC can now choose to describe or change its position on Jordan Hudson's involvement however it wishes. Following the publication of our episode, we requested comment and filed dozens of freedom of information requests that were not satisfied. We stand by the specific reporting in our episode, which came from the highest levels of the football program. On top of that, he says, we broke the news of an important meeting where UNC higher-ups told the football program that Jordan Hudson can't be around the facility anymore. Many people around the team heard that message very clearly. You can decide who to trust in terms of how the PR spin goes from here. So he dropped the hammer on him. So he's very confident in his reporting. But obviously...
So is he getting it from, you kept saying family when you were talking about when he was getting information.
So he's gotten it from 11 different people. He's never really sourced it, but he said that he's gotten it from 11 different people that have worked with Jordan Hudson in some form or fashion. Now, those people have relayed concerns that people are worried about his legacy. So, and looking at that, it's like there's a deep worry for how detrimental Jordan could be for not just North Carolina, but Bill's legacy, reputation, everything is built and worked for over decades. So the higher-ups, I guess, have had discussions about getting her away because they've had nothing but bad PR since the CBS thing has happened. Mm-hmm. But apparently she's been a headache even before the CBS morning news controversy that really kick-started all of this. So when they first met, because if you pay close attention, you may not, but I love cheesy reality shows. Like, I watch Vanderpump Rules and all this other stuff with my wife. And apparently nobody's been able to nail down nobody's been able to nail down her age currently. So it's been like 23, 24. There's been a lot of misreporting.
We can't just Google her name?
Well, that's the thing is that Pablo, I guess it's hard to find some birthdays because there's misinformation out there because she's put down or maybe Bill's put down in the employee directory of UNC the wrong birthday. Pablo has investigated and can come to find out at least when they met on that airplane where she signed the book. She was at least 19. Now, that's when she signed the book. Does not mean that they were dating or anything like that. Just when she signed that book, they were 19 because there is a date on there. Oh. And then there is a date of a later video where she says she's 22 and some runner-up of Miss Massachusetts beauty pageant or something. And so backtracking the dates of the video posts and all that, you figure out that she's 19. So that's some investigative reporting that Pablo did. So 19-year-olds. But the big thing is that the feeling around from these 11 people, the feeling is who are men and women. So it's not just all men saying this anonymously. It's men and women who have worked with.
He said this?
Yeah, Pablo said it's men and women.
Okay.
That have, of the 11, he made it, he didn't want to allude to how many it was, but it made it seem like it's probably more women than men who have come forward with this information. But she doesn't want people to know the story of when they officially met, how old she was, because the feeling is by what she has said that she is saving it for a future project that benefits her later on down the road, whether that's a tell-all book, a reality show is what they said on the show itself. So to me, it's just like, oh, man, this is getting juicy.
You're all in.
I'm all in.
You're hooked.
I'm hooked. And listen, Brandon goes in the F&M Bank Shout, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook Live. Man, talk about the rookies. I personally don't care about what's going on with Bill's girlfriend being banned. Well, to get to the rookies, we got a whole show. This ain't going to be the whole show. Chill out. Don't crash out on us, Brandon. So then you remember the commercial, right, that Bill Belichick did with a bunch of celebrities calling him, asking him for advice on who to bet, who to play in fantasy or whatever, and he's at a pool or whatever. She stopped production in that commercial, said, I have a fantastic idea. We want to do a hard reveal of our relationship. So they're going to tell the world that they're now dating in using that commercial. Okay. And so she stopped production. She said, I'll be right back. She goes away. They don't stop production for her, so they keep on doing it.
So she was about to change their production, their deal.
Their deal. That whole commercial, the idea was when she got back, she's wearing a polka dot bikini and a sun hat. And one of the scenes, he's being called poolside. She's going to be in the background trying to get him to stop being on the phone. So she gets she has written lines for her in this commercial that's already pretty much done shooting. So they completed the shooting while she was gone, and when she gets back, they just let her record, and they just don't even do anything with it because she was so demanding. UNC Hard Knocks, that got kiboshed because of her. Remember how they were going to do Hard Knocks for University of North Carolina?
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
I said, I'm shocked
and then
Bill's doing
canceled
that.
it. They canceled it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what do you think about all this when it comes to Bill Belichick's legacy?
Man, I think they're hitting the nail on the head. Man, it's just really hard to say what's going on here, man, which is surprising the way Bill was in New England. And I know he was trying to keep everything close to the vest. This right here is the total opposite. And it could affect his legacy in more ways than one. Right now, I would never think that he's ever going to get back into the National Football League after this. It is just so, you wonder, why is he letting this happen? And you just want to know where he's at in his health. I mean, to be honest, so I don't want to speculate on that, but it just seems like this is nothing like the Bill Belichick we know of from afar. And a lot of it is when you're interviewing with them and all of those things. And matter of fact, I just talked to a New England guy today, Mike Reese. They're ESPN, and so I not about that though.
Yeah.
But he's covering, naturally Mike Vrabel. But that just sounds so surprising to hear all of this, man. I'm stunned with all of this, and I'm interested to see where this goes because, man, this seems like it's going to come to a screeching doom halt.
Well, they've been caught on hot mics, bad-mouthing NFL headquarters, NFL Films headquarters employees, like production guys, like during one of the breaks on one of the podcasts or whatever. Someone said that's worked in the entertainment business and doing the productions with where she's been on set. She is the worst person I've ever met on earth, and I've worked with multiple sociopaths. I mean, like, apparently she is a nightmare. She is a nightmare, according to that. And that one was a female. That's what prompted, someone asking, well, are these guys or women or who is, what's the gender profile here on these anonymous sources? And this was a woman. But, like, they brought up a good point is that all the yes men he surrounded himself with over the years have become so conditioned to saying, well, whatever Bill says is correct or whatever Bill says is good. His long-term former PR agent, his offensive coordinator, Josh McDaniel, Matt Patricia. There's one more that they said, too. I can't remember the other one they said. But like they all just were such yes men that they let her fill this power vacuum and void because she was willing to guide Bill Belichick in new directions, not just be a yes man, which is wild.
That part of them being a yes man, that's half the time. That's how you get.
That's true.
Coaches get their job. So in AA, they put it on Bill, and then Bill kind of put it in her hands. So I could see how easily that could happen.
Yeah,
I definitely understand that. But just the fact that he's given her this kind of power is really insane. I mean, man, I'm stunned, man. Jackson, you said you've dated a girl just like this, right?
No.
Oh, I thought you said that's why you broke up with her.
No.
Oh, okay. Oh, my bad. I thought you was trying to trick us. You playing games.
When we come back, we're going to go around the NFL with Jordan DeJaney of CBS Sports. This is Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone.
I saw. Oop.
Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors, 615-737-1045. If you want to get in on the conversation is going to switch to what's going around the NFL as we bring in Jordan DeJaney for his take us around a trip. I have to know, Jordan, and we just got done talking about it. We opened up our show, much to the chagrin of people who do not care about this story. But I find it so fascinating that a guy known for control and controlling all aspects of his life, all aspects of media, that he is given power pretty much to let this woman run his life and his media empire. What are your thoughts on this whole Jordan, or Jordan, I guess I shouldn't lump you in there, but Jordan Hudson and Bill Belichick stuff that came out today?
Yeah, Jordan is living all Jordan's dreams, right? And I'm so glad I didn't miss this conversation, okay? Because rookie minicamp is cool. There's a lot to talk about and dissect. But this is the biggest story in sports right now, right? Bill Belichick, and by the way, he's not just some kind of celebrity. He's still coaching. He's got a season to look forward to. He's still recruiting. He's got an identity to create with the UNC Tar Heels, and he has to deal with being in the headlines for his love life. And as you mentioned, it's so opposite from what Bill Belichick is, the Bill Belichick that we know and love, and what he created with the New England Patriots, having control of that organization from a head coach and GM perspective. And now we've got this 24-year-old female who is being allegedly or reportedly banned from the facilities. Or is she banned? Is she welcomed? I think it's the craziest story in sports. And let's be real, there's going to be a movie made about this Belichick fiasco one day or another, right?
We think it's Lifetime or HBO Max or a documentary of some sort.
Yeah, let's just say all three, because I think there's a lot of different angles we can hit with it, right?
Right. So speaking of some drama or maybe some bullcrap, because I don't believe this Tom Brady stuff about him not being involved in the Raiders draft process and him just stepping back, and him. I believe they did call Shedeur to tell him that, hey, it's all right. I went, day 3. It's okay. Just go out there and do what you do and just win the starting job. But at some point, he's kind of talking out both sides of his mouth, saying that, well, he should have been drafted earlier, but his team that he is part owner of passed on him and instead drafted a 6th-round quarterback named Kim Miller.
Yeah, I thought the story was actually really funny because earlier this week, I wrote an article. John Spytek, the general manager for Vegas, told The Athletic that, Tom Brady wasn't in the draft room, but he was in constant communication with us, and he was definitely on board with the selection of Cam Miller. And John Spytek even offered some details about specifically what Tom Brady liked in Cam Miller as a prospect. But then just hours later, we get this clip from a podcast, Impulsive, of Tom Brady saying, I wasn't involved in the evaluation process at all, which I don't think is true. I think he's lying, to be completely honest. And that makes it more interesting because he has a pre-existing relationship with Shedeur Sanders. In fact, according to reports, he's even mentored Shedeur Sanders before. He has a working relationship with that family in general. So when Shedeur Sanders began that draft slide, it's a little surprising to me that Tom Brady did not kind of stand up on his box and say, hey, Shedeur Sanders is someone we should take a flyer on. Instead, I think the Raiders selected 7 players above Shedeur Sanders, despite what was perceived to be a legitimate need at the quarterback position, which the Raiders filled in the 6th round. I think it's a really interesting story that Tom Brady did not go out on a limb for Shedeur Sanders.
Yeah, because that's the thing, right? You're part owner. You could totally, if you truly believed in Shedeur Sanders and all this stuff that he came out and texted him and all that kind of stuff, you probably could have flexed some weight and got that done.
If Tom Brady wanted Shedeur Sanders to be on the Raiders, I think Shedeur Sanders would have been on the Raiders.
Derek Carr, who did his best Righteous Gemstones impersonation over at some church in Las Vegas, went into this big, long part of his sermon about talking about his shoulder, talking about the people in the media. Don't listen to people in media. Don't listen to people on Twitter and all this kind of stuff. What is going on with Derek Carr's shoulder in the New Orleans Saints?
Yeah, I thought it was a little interesting. He kind of gave that speech at a church. That was pretty interesting first off the bat. But here's the thing. I think that Jane Slater of NFL Network finally shed some light on the situation. And I'm glad, because the whole situation in this story has been bugging me. I think it's been one of the weirder stories of the entire NFL offseason. But Jane Slater has told us publicly that Derek Carr has actually been to New Orleans twice in recent weeks to meet with the team doctor at the facility regarding his shoulder. So in terms of the relationship gone bad with Carr and the Saints, maybe that's more rumor than fact. But he also believes that he hurt his throwing shoulder in that same game that was his last game played last season, where he suffered the concussion and injured his left wrist as well. I think the most interesting part about this story is the question everyone's had is, why are we just figuring this out now? Well, apparently Derek Carr hasn't been really throwing in earnest, going downfield, actually putting some weight behind those throws until the spring, until as of late. And that's when he noticed that something was different or off with his shoulder. And after they got the MRI and they've talked to the team doctors, they're still trying to figure out if surgery is the best option. And according to reports, Derek Carr doesn't really want to get surgery because he's actually had surgery on that right shoulder before. I'm not sure how that exactly plays into the situation, but that's being reported. So here's the bottom line. We do not know where Derek Carr stands in terms of his availability and we are sitting here on Friday, May 9th. That's pretty concerning. So the Saints may all of a sudden have entered the conversation in terms of being, or hosting, I should say, one of the more intriguing quarterback battles around the NFL this preseason.
We're going around the NFL with Jordan DeJaney of CBS Sports.
Well, Jordan, I know you're somewhat of a Steeler fan. What did you think about the trade of George Pickens to the Cowboys? And what I'm asking is, really, did you think they got good value for it?
Yeah, there's a new number 2 wide receiver in Dallas, right? This is one of the most exciting moves the Cowboys have made in some time. But the Steelers decided they no longer wanted George Pickens on roster and that they weren't going to pay him in the future beyond this rookie contract. So he's going to have this opportunity to begin anew on what I would argue is the biggest stage of them all, right? America's team, the Dallas Cowboys. And with George Pickens, I mean, the talent is undeniable. He had the 3rd most receiving yards recorded in a player's first 3 seasons in Steelers history. But as we all know, there are clear issues, right? He was fined time and time again. He was late to the Christmas game. He lashed out at coaches and fans. He scrapped with players on the field. He's had some quotes that make you cringe if you're a head coach. But again, the talent is there. Now, in terms of the value, I don't think you can really argue against it. I don't think many people were expecting a 2nd-round pick to go for George Pickens. And here's the reason why. You know, at first, at face value, I thought that this was a big win for Dallas. But here's the main issue. He has just 1 year remaining on his current contract. And the Cowboys are notorious for being late on these contract extensions. Just ask that Micah Parsons guy who is still waiting for his new deal. We know that the Cowboys cost themselves money with Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb. So my question is, what are the chances that Pickens is going to be a one and done in Dallas? It may be more than 50-50 in my opinion. And then come the other questions about what's his production going to look like opposite of CeeDee Lamb? Is it going to be good for the team? Could it be potentially negative with all of the antics as well? So it's one of the more interesting moves of the NFL offseason in my opinion, but I just have to wonder if it's going to be a 1 year thing with Dallas.
I want your bold prediction on this. New England's going to play the Titans here in Tennessee. Will it be a national televised game? And if it is, when would you have this game as far as scheduling? And I'm talking about beginning, middle, or end against the Patriots.
Hey, can you imagine if this is like week 1? If the NFL just puts this week 1 Mike Vrabel playing against his former team?
Yeah, I'm thinking week 3. We can't make sure Ward May don't get hurt.
Yeah,
Vrabel's coming to town.
Exactly right. Exactly right. And that's my prediction, is that it's going to be somewhere in the early season. It's not going to be week 1, but you threw out week 3, so let's stick with that. I think that it would be week 3. And I think in terms of a nationally televised game, I'm going to say no. I don't think that the NFL is going to put this in prime time. The Titans were the worst team in football last year, unfortunately. So I don't think that the Titans are exactly going to be challenging the Cowboys when it comes to the most primetime games in 2025.
All right. So how many national televised games do you think they're going to have?
Ooh, good question.
Primetime games. I'm going 0.
They're going to have 2. Come on, we have Ward the first pick.
Yeah, I'm going to say 2, actually. I'm going to say 2.
I'm going 0.
They got.
And let me say this:
they got to get 2.
We all need to remember the Patriots were also one of the worst teams in the NFL as well. So I know that the Titans were the worst. Patriots are right there with them.
I'm going Sunday night. Patriots week 3.
Okay,
that's a national televised game. I'm going to give you dates and everything. All right, now to their competitor in the conference there with the Colts. Is this going to be a real battle with Richardson and Jones? Because I feel like it really isn't. I feel like Jones is going to be the winner, 14, 13 million or whatever they gave him. Like, hey, man, you going to let that guy sit on the bench? That's not a backup number. That's a starter number. So I'm interested to see how this plays out. What do you think is going to happen with this? And by the way, if Ballard and Richardson and it doesn't work, how does Ballard still have his job?
I've been asking that for like 6 years myself.
Yeah. I can't answer that. I'm sorry. I wish I could. But listen, Brian, you and I are on the same page with this, actually. I think that Daniel Jones was brought in to be that QB1 entering the regular season. But here's the thing. In terms of it actually being a legitimate competition, I do believe it is. I think that maybe the coach, the Colts front office in their minds think that Daniel Jones may be ahead of Anthony Richardson, or they're leaning in that direction. But they are absolutely going to let these two players battle it out on the field. With Anthony Richardson, we all understand the athletic upside, but when it comes to the consistency issues of doing the mundane things, the things of quarterbacks that everyone at this level has to be able to do in terms of hitting the open wide receivers, he's really struggled with that. And with Daniel Jones, we know that he's played some decent football back in the day. He had a pretty decent rookie year with the New York Giants. Not to say that he was a Pro Bowler by any means, but with the Colts thought process, they believe if Daniel Jones can come in and just do the small things correctly, that this offense is going to be a lot better than it was in 2024 with Anthony Richardson being inconsistent. So I do believe it's going to be a legitimate battle. But, yeah, if you're asking me to put my money down who is starting week one, I'm actually leaning towards Daniel Jones.
All right, and lastly, Ward, Hunter, Genty. Who wins Rookie of the Year?
I love this. I'm actually going to lean towards a running back. I'm going to place some bets on some running backs when it comes to Offensive Rookie of the Year. Because when it comes to the Raiders, I think that they are absolutely going to pound the rock with Ashton Genty. And I know that the Raiders probably don't have one of the more elite offensive lines in the NFL, but Ashton Genty is going to get touches. He's going to get touches, and those goes to yards. Those go to touchdowns. So there is a reason he is the co-favorite with Cam Ward. And I do believe that Cam Ward deserves to be a co-favorite as well. But, I mean, I'm kind of looking outside the box. If you want to get some value, some bang for your buck, if you will, what about Omarion Hampton, the running back out of UNC? I think that he's someone who could eventually evolve into RB1 with a run-heavy scheme. At plus 1,400, that's some interesting value. The same thing with Travion Henderson as well. Could he be the legitimate RB1 in New England at plus 2,000 if Mike Vrabel wants to run the ball? Again, I thought Ashton Genty actually was in play to be selected by the Patriots and be the identity of that offense, but instead it could be Travion Henderson. So I'm actually leaning towards some running backs when it comes to Offensive Rookie of the Year.
Jordan DeJaney, NFL writer for CBS Sports.
The Panthers released Jadeveon Clowney yesterday, and is this just a case of, hey, they're getting younger at that position because they just signed Patrick Jones, an free agent out of Minnesota? They have DJ Wonnum on the other side, who are both relatively in the prime of their career. And then they drafted both Nick Scourton in the second round and Princely Umanmielen in the third round. Both of those are edge rushers as well. Is this them just a sign of them getting younger at this stage of the game?
So the way that Dan Morgan talked about Jadeveon Clowney in his end-of-season press conference, it kind of seemed like the writing was on the wall as far as Clowney's future with Carolina. So him being released was absolutely no surprise at all. The Panthers had the worst defense in the NFL, and I don't think Clowney necessarily had a bad season. I think he had 4.5 sacks. I think that he's still a player who is worth a look if you're a team looking for some pass rush help at this point in the offseason calendar. But, yeah, I think you make a good point. I mean, Carolina spent, I think, 2 of its first 3 picks on edge rushers. And you look at what they did in free agency as well, just on the defensive line. The Panthers have been trying to really juice up this defense, which, again, was the worst in the NFL in 2024. So I think it really is about getting younger, and it'll be interesting to see if Jadeveon Clowney, where he signs. Could it be with Washington? A lot of people think he's going to the Commanders. Is a reunion with the Tennessee Titans in the cards? I know that the Titans absolutely need some pass rush help, but who knows if he's looking for a legitimate contender to play for. So that's another kind of intriguing name that's hitting the open market at this point in the preseason.
And Gabriel Davis was let go. They decided to eat $20 million in dead cap money to get rid of him after 1 year of a 3-year contract. Look over, and I guess the Giants ended up signing him last night, or unofficially signed him to like an $8 million contract.
Dayball from Buffalo.
Yeah, Dayball from Buffalo. They have obviously Russell Wilson, Jackson Dart, and Jameis Winston down there. But he was waived with an injury designation, and then the Giants go and pay him $8 million when really he was already getting paid and on the hook for $11 million from the Jaguars. So now the Jaguars get a little bit of cash back because of the offset of this new signing. Who came out worse on this deal? the Jaguars eating all the dead money and not having a lot of depth at wide receiver? Or is it the Bills who kind of overpaid for Gabe Davis
Well, is that how it
at
works?
this point? Yeah. So Gabe Davis had $11 million, but there was an offset clause. So anybody that paid him, like you could have got him for.
So what was the difference between him and Russell Wilson? That's what I'm getting at.
That's what I'm saying. That's the same thing. So Russell Wilson, with the Steelers, got $2 million or $1 million, but still getting paid.
Right, from the previous
from
team.
the thing. So now he was still getting paid $11 million from the Jaguars, and now he's getting paid $8 million.
Right. They got it. He did a good job. His agent's good.
Oh, yeah, his agent's good, but I'm saying, who did it worse, the Jaguars or the Giants?
Oh, the Giants.
I don't think that Gabe Davis actually signed with the Giants.
So that has been retracted?
Yeah, I have not seen that. I'm going to have to double check that. Either you're breaking news to me or...
No, it was on social media. I don't know if it was confirmed, but they did put it out there, and the numbers, by the way.
Unless I got last night and I was just haphazardly watching. I'll go back and find it.
One of us got, right? But, I mean, I guess I'll lean towards the Jaguars because that contract was insane, right? I mean, cut 1 year into a 3-year, $39 million deal. 23.9 receiving yards per game was a career low. And then, of course, he dealt with injuries, which hurt him in that 1 year in Jacksonville. But he is just 26 years old. Mm-hmm. I think the Giants would be kind of an interesting landing spot for him because, I mean, they have another kind of deep strider that is yet to take off by the name of Jalen Hyatt. He kind of fits that mold. So maybe the Giants are looking for some depth at a premier position when it comes to this whole offense, which is going to look so different with their new quarterback room. But, yeah, that would surprise me a little bit. You'll have to confirm that for me. Did Gabe Davis actually sign with the Giants?
No, it was two fake accounts because I saw from a Jordan Schultz. There's a fake Jordan Schultz account out there.
Oh, that's what it is.
And I thought that it came across because I have Jordan Schultz and I have a bunch of NFL reporters, obviously, for breaking news, and I thought it came from them. So apparently I got. Oh,
so
way to be on it, though, there, Jordan. Good, because I saw it.
I'm glad. Does that mean he's still in play for Tennessee? Do you guys want him in Tennessee, or would you rather rely on some of the rookie picks?
No.
Yeah, I'm good. No. Yeah, we're good on. No. Yeah, we just, he's coming off a torn meniscus. And I'm just like, they don't need that kind of wide receiver anyway. But also, I look at it and I go, even if he was healthy, they don't need a guy that can't get a lot of separation because they're going for speed is what they've told us. And Gabe Davis is not a speed wide receiver. Now you need all kinds of different flavors, but I'd just rather go with the young guys.
Absolutely. I think we're 100% on board with that.
All right. Well, man, took a little air on my tires right there.
Well, no, but I'll flip it, though. Most needed on the Titans, the wide receiver core with a veteran or the pass rush edge or another position if you think, it's in contention.
Well, I think inside linebacker would be another one that I would consider too. But, I think the obvious choice is pass rusher, in my opinion. I mean, they addressed it a bit in free agency, but is Draymond Jones a guy who's going to thrive on the interior compared to the outside, a 3-4 pass rushing outside linebacker? I think that's a question in itself. The second-round pick, Oladejo, we don't know exactly how quick he's going to hit the ground running. That was more of a pick based on potential as opposed to production, which taking him that high is never something I'm really in favor of. But, again, I'm not a general manager. I think it's absolutely pass rush. I would feel a lot more comfortable if Tennessee went out there and got someone like Sedarius Smith or Dennis Gardeck or, even Jadeveon Clowney at this point would just give me a little bit more comfort depending on what the price tag would be. I do not feel great about the pass rushing unit for Tennessee right now.
All right, that will do it for We Went Around the NFL with Jordan DeJaney of CBS Sports. We really appreciate it. We'll see you next week.
All right, you guys are the best. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, this is Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 105 The Zone. When we come back, we'll talk more about the Tennessee Titans rookie class. This is Cover 2. Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Store. What you just heard were all 5 of the Tennessee Titans rookies that signed last night, and they're all said the same thing. They're all ready to get to work. I just thought that was funny because every one of them, they do their videos separately, but every one of them said that they're ready in some form or fashion to get to work. And I wonder, is that scripted, Blaine, do you think? Or is that really, hey, these are the guys that they drafted, and that's their mentality, like just shining through naturally?
Yeah, you're going to say that they hate the media because that's how I would answer a question there if I was a player.
Yeah.
Just like that. Yeah,
I would say they hate the media. I just wonder if it's scripted. I'm asking if it's scripted,
No,
or do you think that's
I don't
natural?
Think so. I think all of them are all of the same ilk, and they've said that over and over again. And I think that's what these all about. Because at the end of the day, they know it's going to be about the action. And so they can go out here and, do all and say all this other stuff. I mean, I'm going to be the best player since I don't know. You're rookie, earn your worth based off of what you do on the field. And that'll be more so in game, but it starts at practice. So they know what's at stake, and they got to get better each and every day. Because what you're going to see today or tomorrow at them in practice and then come to training camp is going to be a whole different player.
Yeah.
See, that's going to continue to evolve and grow. So, they know they got some work to do. That's what they're all about. So that's always a good thing.
Yeah. Kevin Winston Jr., Alec Manor, Jackson Slater, Marcus Harris, and Khalil Mullins all signed their contract. Just for the record, for your all's information, if you did not know
everybody's not signing.
Not everybody's signed, but everybody is there because they did a video earlier today, where introducing yourself, Titans fans, they stand in front of the parking lot or whatever and say something. Say one quick thing. I think you can
still practice during this time. There's a waiver deal.
Yeah,
they're slotted. So,
and I would assume the way that the CBA is not much really to negotiate. I know there's a way to negotiate the timing that you receive your fully guaranteed money and all that. Rather than that, your slot is your slot. The Tennessee Titans have 16 undrafted free agents that they drafted. And just to give you guys to run down the full list: Micah Bernard, running back out of the University of Utah; Philip Bleedy, defensive tackle out of Auburn; Brandon Crenshaw Dixon, offensive tackle out of Florida. He's listed as offensive lineman here, which I thought was interesting. Outside linebacker Desmond Evans out of North Carolina; David Benda, inside linebacker out of Texas, who I think, if you guys go watch some Texas film, I mean, I know a lot of people have watched Texas games. You may not have noticed Benda your first go around, but this dude plays with his hair on fire, and maybe,
Ooh, I may check him out.
Rashawn. I know that gives you maybe some Rashawn Evans vibe, but he's a lot better than Rashawn Evans. That's what Jim Haslett said about Rashawn Evans when he was inside linebacker coach. He played with his hair on fire, just didn't know where to go.
Rashawn Evans was a good player.
Yeah, he's all right. He's all right.
He was a first-round pick, man.
Yeah.
I mean, just because he ended up not being a Pro Bowler doesn't mean he wasn't a good player now.
Now, Jamari Harris, cornerback out of Iowa; Garnett Hollis, defensive back out of Western Kentucky. That's where he's at. And he is a Nashville, Tennessee native, so I'm sure we'll hear, and he'll get asked all about that when media availability.
BGA.
Cam Horsley, defensive tackle out of Boston College, who was a draftable player. I'm very surprised that he didn't get drafted, to be honest with you, because he's got some good tape and some good measurements and some athleticism.
Whenever you're a 5th through 7th rounder, everybody can get drafted. That's why I say I was very fortunate to get drafted, because there's so many players. Let's say it's like 600 players still not drafted, and we're at the 5th round. They're all not going to get drafted. And they are quality players that can make a roster and are capable of making a roster.
Yeah.
So now the unfree agent unsigned guys, there's going to be a lot of guys that are just as good as the guy that went in the 5th, 6th, or 7th round.
Well, and, NIL, COVID years, all that stuff has kind of flooded this undrafted free agent market, too. Yeah, Jalen Kimber, defensive back out of Penn State. Virgil Lemons, who's a guy that needs to be on your radar, I think. He's from West Florida. Now, against lesser competition, obviously, but this is a guy. Yeah, the return guy.
Oh,
he averaged 25 yards a punt return, which is pretty good.
Against St. Joseph's in Division 2.
So not great, but he's fast. So we'll see how he is. Just keep an eye on it.
But I can't say this about returners.
Yeah.
It is a field thing, so it doesn't matter, really what level. Now, it matters if somebody's going to catch you. You just said he was speed, but
Yeah.
also it's the field of running of the ball after catching it, ball security. But naturally, you want to see what he looks like in big-time competition.
Yeah.
So you know why I say that? Because I've had people call me already and say, hey, man, you better watch out for this kid. I didn't know nothing about this guy.
Yeah.
I'm like, so now you said something. You're the third person. And I'm like,
man, what
oh
I
my
do with
gosh,
that?
I got to go watch film on this guy.
I had a scouting report printed up about him.
Oh, my.
That maybe I could pull up here in just a second.
See how we're already building up this expectations as people? We're human. And then I go watch him. And if he don't do nothing, I'm like, see, that's why I got to go watch it for myself.
Yeah. Now, he's not, just so everybody knows, he is not, I'm not saying that he's going to make the team as a defensive back. But if they're looking for a straight return specialist with maybe special teams gunner upside or something like that, I don't know, because he played defensive back.
Yeah, he's like a 6 feet,
He would
180
be a guy to watch. Yeah, he'd be a guy to watch. That'd be about
I was
where it's at.
assuming he was a wide receiver. I have no idea.
Yeah, he's defensive back. This is from Emery Hunt, who does his own draft guide.
Mm-hmm.
He said,
He's a big Shador guy.
yeah, springy athleticism combined with good length, because he's 6 foot, 185, good length, and he's able to effectively play press man really well, understands how to play the hip and use sidelines as a defender. Obviously, I don't have very high expectations for him as a defensive back. Good overall ball skills and ball instincts. Doesn't miss opportunities to turn the ball over and or knock it away. One of the best punt return specialists in the draft class, and has the ability to make an impact in that capacity very easily as a rookie. Now, he obviously areas of improvement, gets stuck in transition trying to snap out of his shuffle technique, has to be able to quickly explode out of his break, gets handsy at the top of the routes when he's in man coverage, has to either stay more patient or get his head around. So coachable stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But for an undrafted free agent to make this roster, it's more than likely always special teams, and this is a guy that I would just put on your
I didn't
radar
even
for
say
special
anything
teams.
about speed, though.
I don't know if he had any pro day stuff.
Well,
but he is fast on tape when you watch it. Someone said, I think the other day, that he had sub 4.4 or sub 4.4 speed.
FCS guy, right?
FCS guy.
Yeah.
But there's no, he wasn't invited to the combine, and he didn't have an RAS score. So I don't have.
What you're supposed to do when you go to one of those schools like that, you're supposed to ask a school, a surrounding area, like, I don't know, where he went to West Florida. Let's just say he's supposed to go at Florida. Then everybody can see him versus Florida guys basically looking at the numbers, how he moves and everything else. Or, Florida State or whatever school is close to him. And usually they'll let those guys in to do their testing.
Yeah, I've been trying to find it. I thought I heard someone say that he had under 4.4 speed in the 40, but I can't find that verifiably anywhere right at the point that I've looked.
Because that should open up a whole bunch of eyeballs just with that alone when you hear punt return or defense.
And you would think that he probably has speed if he's notching, 25 yards punt return. But again, it is against certain competition. Clarence Lewis, defensive back out of Syracuse. Defensive lineman Devontae O'Malley out of Northern Illinois. Isaiah Rakes out of Auburn. Defensive lineman, of course, Xavier Estrepo, everybody's favorite wide receiver out of Miami. Defensive back Davion Ross from Memphis. And Jaron Thompson out of Auburn, too. A lot of guys from Auburn in this undrafted free agent class. I think there were 3 or 4 of them from Auburn.
That's interesting.
That is interesting. I wonder if that's a scheme thing. I know Tracy Rocker used to coach there, but that was a pretty long time ago. I think like 6 or 7 years ago. So I'm sure not the same people, but I'm sure he still has connections with maybe some people. But I just find it odd. A lot of Auburn guys were on this list, and I don't know much about their scheme, and I've only watched. Listen, I'm not going to watch Auburn play except for when Alabama beats them. But so I don't know much about the Auburn defense just off the top of my head. But I thought that was very interesting.
Yeah. Well, maybe they had some talented guys just because their record weren't so good. It didn't help their.
And I don't know what kind of scheme they
SEC.
require or anything like that. I mean, maybe they do some of the very similarities scheme wise, some of the same stuff down there that maybe the Tennessee Titans do. I don't know, just trying to piece it together why all the Auburn people. When we come back, we'll talk more about that. We'll also get to Kenny the Mailman, who wants to talk about the Tennessee Titans. 615-737-1045 is the number. This is Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone.
For many of you who have lived here a long time, you already know Eurofix has been in Middle Tennessee area for your European car repair needs now for 26 years. We've all gotten to watch them grow. And I don't know about you, but I love watching a hometown business take off. Well, we're now proud to announce the 5th location in Mount Juliet for Eurofix on Mount Juliet Road, right across the street from Dairy Queen. And Eurofix can serve you in Franklin, Hundred Oaks, Murfreesboro, Belmead, and now Mount Juliet. So pretty cool getting to watch a small-town mechanic starting in the barn of his backyard of a single-wide trailer and now grow to 5 locations repairing thousands of cars each month. And at Eurofix, you get a 3-year nationwide warranty plus a free loaner car with every repair appointment. And all you have to do is just give them a call at 844-EUROFIX. That's right, 844-EUROFIX, or you can visit them online at myEurofix.com. That's myEurofix.com. But I always tell them, Blaine sent you.
It is 2 o'clock. Good afternoon from the 104.5 The Zone Studios. I'm Jackson Williams. In Titans news, rookies arrived at St. Thomas Sports Park yesterday for rookie minicamp this weekend, and the team announced they have signed 5 of their 9 draft picks to their rookie contract. Safety Kevin Winston Jr., wide receiver Elike Manor, guard Jackson Slater, cornerback Marcus Harris, and running back Khalil Mullins. In the NBA playoffs, the Minnesota Timberwolves took down the Warriors 117-93 to take a 2-0 lead in that series. And tonight, we have a playoff doubleheader with the Cavs and Pacers facing off at 6:30, followed by the OKC Thunder and Denver Nuggets tipping off at 9 o'clock. Tennessee baseball back for another SEC series as they take on in-state rival Vanderbilt at Lindsey Nelson Stadium. First pitch is at 4:30, and you can hear that game right here on the Zone following 3HL at 6 o'clock. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, you need to visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 105 The Zone, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. 615-737-1045 is the number. Of course, we have the F&M Bank chat on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook Live, wherever you get your Zone TV. Let's go to Kenny the Mailman, who wants to talk about the Tennessee Titans. Kenny, you're on with Blaine and Zach.
Good afternoon, people. It's more of a locker room general in question for Blaine. Are you ready?
Uh-oh. I don't know.
You expect your front office to be on the ball and have a plan. The Browns in the 5th round, I think they made a pretty good selection in Sanders. But a lot of people overlook that in the 3rd round, they picked another quarterback. Yeah. And what is the one aspect of Dylan Gabriel that the other 10 quarterbacks didn't have this year in the draft?
Oh, well, that's an evaluation.
Lifts in his cleats.
No,
he what?
He's left-handed.
Lifts in his cleats. No, is that true?
He's left-handed.
He's left-handed.
So, what I'm saying, there's always if you're great, they're going to fit you in. But if you're not, when he goes in just for practice, they're using four quarters of practice. When he goes in, does the weak tackle become the strong tackle? The strong tackle become the weak tackle? The handoff is totally different to the running backs. The guards, his steps away, if he's under center, is totally different. Did they not have a plan at all? They got an older quarterback, a reclamation project, and now a left and right-handed quarterback. It's like, what are they doing? Mm-hmm. Y'all have a good day. We'll talk to you later.
Thanks, Kenny.
Yeah, they're trying to trick people. No, you know what? It's funny because I'm going to use this example. We played the Jaguars. And they had Mark Brunell, who was a left-handed quarterback. Tony Baselli was his front side tackle. That's not his blind side tackle. His blind side tackle was Leon Searcy, who came from the Steelers. And so when they go, Baselli was the more athletic guy, but Searcy was the blind side of that and did just as much and was a lot nastier than Baselli. So it just, you better make sure you have 2 good tackles, and especially now they move guys around and try to get the matchup. So they better be aware that who's at quarterback. That's a good point, though. I hadn't thought about it.
I didn't even notice, to be honest with you. I've seen Dylan Gabriel in person and didn't even notice he was left-handed. I didn't even think to pay attention to that.
Yeah, I definitely watched him. It's going to be interesting to see how his career goes here, because I think he's going to be probably just more of a possession guy type player. Maybe a career backup. I just don't see him ever as a starter. Based off what I've studied him, I think he's tough. He's had success everywhere he went in college, so we got to give him credit for that. But I'm interested to see how they have him with the reps compared to Shador, because Shador was a later pick. I think it's going to be pretty evident early who has the more upside and who has the more talent. So that's going to be interesting how they kind of manage through that whole situation. That's going to be because the 4th-string quarterback, which is Shador, I know we're talking about Dylan, but he's not going to get a lot of reps. That guy's Tim Boyle for the Titans, right?
Yeah.
We may not even see him in a preseason game unless it's the last drive, or 2, So this is going to be really interesting how they parlay this, because they got to be really careful. They got to give everybody a fair shot, but based off where you drafted guys, Dylan Gabriel is supposed to get more reps than the fifth round.
How do you think they're going to handle the? I mean, we know we're very early,
That's
but
what I said. I don't know how they're going to do that because the fourth string guy is not getting a lot of reps.
Because would you think it's just like the final 2 drives of the fourth quarter or something? Because you figure he's got to get some reps, but you kind of want. Here, after talking to you for over a year, or getting close to a year. When you talk about preseason, you've talked about, it's great to have a quarterback come out of the halftime and go, and get that experience of coming out of halftime, getting the whole offense, that experience coming out of halftime, going into halftime. Would you kind of do something a little unconventional with Cam Ward if you were coach where, okay, we're going to get one game, you got 3 games. One game, you're going to come out of the tunnel. You're going to start a few series. And the next game, we're going to have you just handle the middle 4, the 2-minute drill in the second half, and 2 minutes coming out of the third quarter to get you that inside, outside, whatever. And would you do stuff like that, or would you just do it like how it's traditionally done? You play a whole half, or you play 3 quarters and one game, and you do no game one time or something.
Well, I definitely would want him to come out the tunnel at the beginning of games and maybe even come out of half. You want to say that you hope that he gets situational football within that time frame, though, when you start him coming out of halves or, the start of a game, which you want to see him in 2 minute. You want to see him in the red zone area. If you haven't, I'm not going to just put him in to do that, just that, because I don't want him to be cold. So I want him to have at least a drive before that if I'm going to try to implement him into that. But I would love to see him at all those situations. You're hoping that he can get that. Because to me, he's getting the majority of the reps. You already feel like at least the coaching staff, what Will Levis can do. You're going to see if he's improved. And then the third guy to me in this whole situation is who? Allen?
Yeah.
And that's probably it. After that, so I'm trying to figure out if Cam is already a step ahead of Levis just mentally. He may not be there physically with his arm talent, but, he can make different throws. So you want to get him up to speed as quickly as possible in game moment, in preseason. Preseason is preseason. The regular season is a whole different level of speed because that's why I think he needs to be out there with the ones, because at some point he's got to see the speed level there, and then it's going to ratchet up in the regular season, and then the playoffs is a whole nother deal.
Yeah.
It's guys running around, man. My rookie year, I couldn't have told you who number they were.
Would you guess that Will Levis gets the majority of the preseason game time? I would think so, because I would think they want to showcase him to maybe trade him, because you know what Brandon Allen is and you know what Tim Boyle is. You would assume that Will Levis gets the most.
Well, I'm not going to say the most, just predicting, but I get where you're going.
Yeah.
No, because I think it's already presumed in their mind Allen and Boyle is going to be on the roster. They want to trade Will Levis, so they're going to try to give him as much, as possible film work, just like they did with Malik Willis when everybody was like, oh, Malik Willis is he's going to start. Remember, because he started a preseason game. I go, no, they're trying to amp up his trade value. And that's what they're going to do with Will Levis. Yeah, they got to get something out of him. I would hate that they would have to cut him in preseason when he is, at least get a 5th rounder at worst case scenario. And if he plays well in the preseason, I would say I would split it half to half, really, between the two. I don't too much care about what the other guys do, to be honest.
I do wonder, because I do think it's curious, because this is is this the first time that we've seen a non-established quarterback with four quarterbacks in total in the locker room? Because I'm trying to think. There was, Luke Falk, but there was Logan Woodside, Malik Willis, and I feel like there was a third, maybe Blaine Gabbert at the same time. But you knew that Ryan Tannehill was the winner, so they were already battling out for, backup. I just wonder if this is the first time that we're going to see really 4 quarterbacks in one preseason game. I don't know if I would do it.
I don't know if I would either. And then another thing to be concerned with is who's playing in front of them.
Yeah.
Cam Ward, that is. Offensive line. So do they then extend their time they play? And wide receivers.
Because really, let's think about this.
Now,
I'm getting this. This is getting my juices flowing here. Okay, so obviously Cam Ward's going to be with the ones, you would assume. And then you would assume that Will Levis is with the 2s. But then you got the threes and the fours. And is it fair to have, like, I mean, I guess Tim Boyle can throw to the fours, right? I mean, but like, would you rather have Will Levis throw to the threes to maybe against threes to maybe boost up his, his stats a little bit? Boost up a highlight reel because he's going up against threes and he will, kind of, what I'm saying? Like, at what point do you really want to see Brennan Allen, Tim? What do you need to see out of Brennan Allen, Tim Boyle if you're the Titans?
There at the end of the game. My footnote here is always going to be Ward and then Levis. I'm trying to increase his value. I'm trying to get Ward as much reps as possible. So those are backdrops for me. I could care less if they got into the last series. If I'm a coach,
maybe they just split reps in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, something like that. I mean, I'm really trying to get No, I've seen them on film. I've watched them both. They're the same guy. They're always going to be. There's nothing going to change. They're going to be a third guy that potentially could dress in. If a quarterback gets injured. So that's kind of how I view them.
When you look at the quarterback situations around the league, there's a lot of teams carrying 4 or 5 quarterbacks. The Browns have 2 young guys, 2 older guys. Then they also have Deshaun Watson back there. Let's not forget that Deshaun Watson's back there. So there are going to be guys that are going to get cut, right? Like, look at the Saints. They have Derek Carr, Jake Hayner, Spencer Rattler, and Tyler Shuck. One of those guys is going to get cut. I mean, is this a situation where the Tennessee Titans claim a quarterback, or does that hurt let me start here. Does that hurt Will Levis's trade value because there are guys that maybe a team could get cheaper without trading draft capital that are going to likely be cut? Or does Will Levis's, I guess, ability to start games for you, his intangibles, his arm strength and stuff like that, his arm talent, his experience starting games, does that put him above maybe these guys that get cut?
Well, it depends on each situation, what they're looking for. If you're looking for a backup, you think he could be a solid backup, then, Will Levis, your guy. Those other guys are not proven. Now, if they play well in the preseason, maybe some people may think otherwise, depending on if somebody gets hurt or not. But I would say, giving up a 5th rounder, what did they get for Malik Willis? What did
7th rounder.
Yeah, I would say he get 5th round value. Hopefully, that would be right up the alley. You hope for more, but that's probably good.
Realistically.
What could happen here. So, And then you may get in a situation, you don't know how it's going to work out for the Titans now.
You may want to keep them.
Right. See, that's what I'm getting. You just don't know where somebody may get injured or not. I have no idea. And I'm not even talking about Ward. I'm talking about even the other guys.
Yeah, Brennan Allen or Tim Boyle get injured. Well, he's your best backup right now. Will Levis would be.
So then you may say, nah.
He's probably still is your best backup when they're both healthy, too.
Right. Yeah, I'm going to say this. We can talk about, Will Levis all we want to about his faults, but those guys are not even on the same plane as him.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I don't know.
I agree.
What, the coach is talking about. They know the system and all that. Yeah, they do. But they're a one read, get rid of the ball. They can't even get to the second read. Period.
I mean, there are worse versions of what everybody thought Mason Rudolph was going to be, and we saw how Mason Rudolph wasn't even good, and I think they're less talented than even Mason Rudolph. So if it came down to it, I'm not going to be totally upset if Will Levis is quarterback 2 for the Tennessee Titans heading into the regular season, even though that makes some people right and me wrong because I think he was going to be off the team. But I'll take it because that's best. It's what's best for the team, right? It's what's best for the team. When we come back, we're going to talk about the undrafted free agents and the rookies and what you should be looking for at Rookie Minicamp. This is Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone. Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. 615-737-1045 is the number. A few minutes ago, we were talking about, we were kind of wondering, why were there so many Auburn defenders in the undrafted free agency signings for the Tennessee Titans? And during the commercial break, we kind of were talking about it because we did talk about how the undrafted free agent pool is going to be filled with guys that can contribute on NFL teams. And come to find out, the Tennessee Titans signed 4 players from a defense that based on points per game allowed was 28th in the nation. Mm-hmm. And a few other articles show them being in the top half in the SEC in almost every defensive SEC statistically defensive category there could be, like top 5. And so,
yeah. And who was the coordinator?
It was DJ Durkin was the coordinator, who's been he's been a Maryland head coach at one point, but he's been defensive coordinator at Ole Miss. Was a consultant for the Falcons at one point, Texas A&M from 2022 2023. So he's a longtime SEC defensive coordinator. So it was just interesting because I said they gave Alabama. I mean, I always want to see them lose, but Auburn gave Alabama everything in that game. Mm-hmm. I remember watching that game thinking, Tennessee Titans are going to lose because Jalen Milroe was turning it over like crazy in that game. And I was like, oh, man, Alabama's going to lose. And they ended up winning, but it was a dogfight for a while. They ended up pulling away towards the end. But you made up a good point that, like, hey, they played in the SEC, and those kinds of players can play in the NFL a lot.
Mm-hmm, yeah, and then we, kind of going back to, I think you brought up some numbers there, guys that go undrafted to guys that, get drafted in the 5th or 7th round. That the numbers show that a lot of them are undrafted, are making it over. Some of the guys get drafted. And a lot of those guys from Auburn were, highly rated when they came out, and they performed well. They just weren't household names because the team didn't have a lot of success at the high level, but they did individually. So sometimes that hurts in the pecking order of where you get drafted or don't get drafted. So, yeah, man, wait and see, man, see what they got.
Yeah, so I looked up this morning because we talked about the loser's curse, which is this big study and everything that everybody's talking about because Eric DeCosta talked about it on Saturday. But I wanted to look at players in 2024. How many players played in 15 or more games? So the majority of the season. Mm-hmm. And there were 354 players that in the NFL across all teams played in 15 or more games and started in 15 or more games. I should clarify.
Started, wow.
So that's a lot of players. 6.8% of them were undrafted free agents. Now, that doesn't sound like a lot.
No, that's a lot.
But when you look at the 7th rounders that started, 3.1%, 4% for 6th rounders. So UDFAs contributed more on NFL teams and started 15 games or more in 2024 at a higher rate than the guys that got drafted ahead of them in the 6th, 7th round. Yeah. And then in the 5th round, it was 7.1%. So 6.8 and 7.1 ain't that far off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I said. It's getting to the point where undrafted guys are actually making rosters even more so than ever before. Which they're getting an opportunity to kind of change in my era. They're giving guys, this mini camp where you can come for trial type mini camps to, so we'll see, you just never know. And sometimes they take a risk on something that, let's say, on a guy late round today, he will get picked. So we pick him. We know we can get the other guy in free agency.
Yeah.
Then that kind of works out. But the best player always wins in the NFL. It doesn't matter. They don't show any favoritism.
4th round, just 9%. So like day 3.
4th round, 9%?
Yeah. Oh. Day 3 has become now, because of, I think, this whole NIL world is starting to get to where it's just almost a crapshoot in day 3. And I don't think there's going to be that much separation. I think this number will continue to grow where you see more undrafted free agents make the team and start games at a high level just because there's only so many teams that can be drafted. And a lot of people treat day 3. I don't know when this started from general managers, but I've heard a lot of general managers, a lot of scouts and say it's just almost a toss-up. Just get whoever you want.
Yeah. And I think they give a lot of fortitude to the coaches there to pick a guy that they like because that's a guy that fits their scheme and system. It made me just think about this. Do you think they should expand the draft to 8 rounds? Because of what we're just talking about.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I like the 7th round because I think I like that undrafted free agents can negotiate some signing bonuses and stuff like that. Whereas if you do the 8th round, you don't get a lot of negotiating power. Now, that doesn't mean they get paid a lot of money or anything, but you hope that your work, you get to choose where you want to go to. It's like a little advantage. You get paid a little, you get a little bit of a signing bonus, but you also get to choose where you go. So you get to choose what is the best fit for you instead of someone dictating you're a great fit for us, but you're probably not. You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like it increases your chances that you find your path onto a roster more often than not.
Yeah, and to your point though, when I went 214, there was, my agent started having a conversation, man. Hey, don't get all bummed out. Just say, think about this. If you go undrafted, that may be the better route to go because now we can choose our team.
Right.
We're talking about even Meyer, and then get even more so a sign-up bonus because they actually love you and want you there instead of going to a team that maybe is stacked against you with, who all they have and they still take you. So that was definitely a conversation. So that's still going on today. I think you're probably pretty much on point on that.
Yeah, I think that if I got to the 7th round, if I was a player, I'd be like, I don't think I want to get to the drafted. Because what if I go to a team that I just don't vibe with or anything? So,
well, I was concerned because they had already, the 2 years before, they drafted 3 young defensive backs and they hadn't started yet and they were going to implement them. I'm going, well, dang, I'm not going to be in this equation.
I love a good conspiracy theory, and we got one in the chat, and this is the second time I've seen this today, not from the same person, but this is from Knock Trop in the F&M Bank chat on Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook Live, wherever you get your Zone TV. He said that's why Restrepo tanked the Combine and tanked his pro day. He made sure he ended up with Cam. Tinfoil hat theory, obviously, but
you
I like
that,
it.
Jackson?
No.
Exactly. Oh, man. They couldn't even trick Jackson on that. There's no way, He's got to do his best because at that time, I'm sure he thought he was a mid-round guy based off, all the information that was out there until he ran that he kind of probably dropped down a lot of people's boards. So I don't think he did that on purpose.
Yeah, I don't either.
I don't think you're doing anything on purpose but to help
Because what
yourself.
if he could have gone to the 5th round, right? I mean, that's a little bit different than UDFA. I don't think he. That's a lot of price difference. Yeah. I mean, it's enough of a price difference not to do it for the 7th round, but I always will sacrifice a little bit of freedom for money if I get to be I like to be the controller of my own destiny. The master of my own destiny.
Is he the most undrafted player, not just what the Titans talked about, but in the NFL right now with, UDFAs, guys,
Sure feels that way, right? Like I can't think of anybody getting as much exposure as he is.
So I have no idea, but it just feels like people, every time I talk to somebody, they assume that he is already on the roster, not practice squad, not may get cut, on the roster. And I get why they're saying it, but like we got to see him play in this league. There's a reason why he didn't get drafted. He's still good at finding the open creases against zone. But I'm real curious on see how he looks against man-to-man and going against people because obviously he has a good feel for the game. And he won't be doing reps with Cam Ward with the ones.
Yeah, once rookie minicamp's over, he's getting relegated. Yeah. You'll see. I'm sure there will be a video of Cam Ward and Xavier Restrepo. If I had to bet money on it, there's going to be a Cam Ward to pass from rookie minicamp this weekend to Xavier Restrepo, and it's going to be the most tweeted, engaged, video that Tennessee Titans or maybe whatever media member tweets out because everybody's going to be like, oh, see, this is happening. Mm-hmm. And that's why I want to get into what's really important at rookie minicamp, Blaine. Like, what is... Because everybody's going to see videos, and I remember when Derrick Henry, when he was a rookie and he was doing those bag drills or whatever.
Like he was lost, right?
Yeah. And then everybody was like, man, this guy sucks. He's got slow feet, blah, 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 blah. And then, he turned into what he is.
Nice.
And because these are new drills for some of these guys. Yes, some of these guys weren't asked to do things, and so they got to get a feel or whatever. So I just wonder, what is really important from an observer perspective for rookie minicamp? Because obviously these players have, their own set of rules of what is important separate. But like, what should fans and what should media really be focused on finding out from rookie minicamp? Is there even anything that they need to find out?
Well, I mean, this is the oohs and ahs based off of first time out there. I could give you a perspective from like a coach, I would say more so than a fan. And that would be that does he retain information that we taught him on the board, that we did in the film meeting room? All right, how smart is he as a football player? We thought he was smart, but maybe he's got more intuition, or he goes out on his own when we get out here, or he just didn't get it. So you're looking for that development because at this point in time, it's all new. So everybody's on the same plane. So, and that's what I would be looking for mostly now, is to see if they retain and how quickly they retained it. The playing part, we drafted them, so obviously we think they can actually play. So we want to see them as each day goes along, continue to improve and get comfortable what we're asking them to do, and then it starts becoming second nature. How soon does that start happening to these players? And some, it just never comes to that way, even though they're being more mechanical because they're learning something new. Or they're realizing, hey, this is the NFL. This is a little bit different when you get the vets there. Things are ratcheting it up. Things are a little bit faster than I expected. Do you then adapt to the speed and the athleticism at practice? So then it'll go to the game. I mean, so all these things kind of add up. And does he just keep progressing up and up? Kind of like what Cam Ward did from each college he went to.
Yeah.
See? So you want to see that progression starting, now through training camp.
Yeah, because the most important time is once this mini camp is over, is what do you do when you are on your own between mini camp and OTAs and training camp, right? Like, what do you do during that time? How much do you stay in shape? What did you learn through mini camp? And this goes for veterans too, and their veteran mini camp. But what did you learn or correct that the coaches asked you to do? Because they're going to give you homework, veteran, rookies, whatever. They give you homework. What did you do to complete that homework? And now that you're in with the veterans, how do you look? How do you respond? That's the stuff you need to be looking for. The highlight throws are fun, but they don't really tell you anything about the NFL season.
Yeah, not at all. Not at all. And I get it from a fan perspective. You want to see the oohs and ahs, and everything's based off of what the offense does. If they do something great, it's always, oh, my gosh. Yeah. Where the guy was like, no, I didn't want a collision with him, so I kind of slowed up a little bit there, because you don't know what the coaches are telling them. Or, if you're young on young, then they go, no, we're going all out. No, ain't no catching going on over here. So it's always kind of interesting just to watch, but you want to see progression day after day. And I mean, and it's monotonous, but see, you want to see if they can perfect the monotonous things. And that then determines, it can be boring as a player, but once you perfect them, then now you let your instincts and everything else take fold. And that's the fun part. So you got to be patient as a coach when you're watching them, because you want to see instant success, and that's not going to happen now, today. So it's funny. Every year I watch, I see those guys get better every practice, and then each mini camp and OTAs and then training camp go, dang, man, this guy looks totally different in training camp than he did, during the rookie camp,
Right.
So because you take yourself back, but a lot of people just forget. So you see him getting better. You go, wow, now his athleticism is starting to show. It's uncanny just to watch some of these guys, man, and how athletic they are now. Wow.
Jackson?
You got something?
Yeah, I got a question real quick. So the Titans reportedly are bringing in a quarterback, Donovan Smith, out of Houston on a tryout basis. Yeah. Could Restrepo's reps with Ward be limited even in rookie minicamp because they want to prioritize getting Chimere Dike, Elikeo Manor reps with Cam Ward in this rookie minicamp? I'm not saying they won't have any reps together, but could they be limited with the UDFA wide receiver going with the tryout quarterback?
Yeah, I would say typically during this time frame where it's just rookies, not a lot of players, so everybody's kind of rotating in, so it's not a set group of ones and twos yet. I think everybody's going to get their shot, especially a guy like him who come in, has a relationship. So I think he will get reps just because of numbers at this point in time. But when they start doing, group 1, 2, and 3, that's when it's going to become really interesting.
Well, what's interesting to me is that we got the receivers that were signed. Now, I think there's a rule where, like, for rookie minicamp, like Bryce Oliver could probably show up for rookie minicamp if he wanted, right?
Okay, yeah.
Because I think there been a couple of guys that have newer veterans
Right,
that have shown up, right?
I mean, if you weren't active for like 3 games,
something like that.
So I think that's why Oliver may be eligible.
Didn't Malik Willis or another Titans quarterback go through?
Yeah,
rookie
that's what I was trying to
minicamp a couple
remember.
of years ago.
So I wonder, because right now they only have 3 wide receivers that are rookies.
Right.
So you need more, and they just let go Tate Martin. So I would assume maybe Bryce Oliver pops up, maybe Jaquan Jackson. I don't know what the actual rule is, but I do wonder, are there more wide receivers that are just going to be here for tryouts? Because, they have undrafted free agents, and then they have tryouts. Like they're bringing in a punter and a kicker that aren't undrafted free agents, but they've been invited to minicamp to try out. And you can be invited to multiple minicamps to be tried out.
So they help the numbers, because if not, then they're doing a lot of standing and like these guys rest over time. If not, then you're asking for a guy to strain a muscle or something. He's going over and over, and guys going 1 rep, then rest 1 rep, and then going another rep.
So I do wonder what other wide receivers are we going to see filter into this group, because you're right. I mean, because it's just going to be Xavier right now. It is just, to our knowledge, Xavier Restrepo, Chimere DK, and Alec Iomanor. And that's a lot of run that they're going to get, which is good. Maybe that's the plan to get them all that good. But I feel like you need rest.
If I'm a vet who was barely on the roster last year, like Oliver, Prochet, McKenzie, I'm there.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I think it was Kinsey that was at those OTA or that was mini camps last year.
I know a quarterback did it.
Yeah, I know a couple of people have done it for the Tennessee Titans.
I'm there. There's no way I'm about to show what I can do. Not only you want to get more reps with a new quarterback, but you want to, solidify who you are. And it's also a form of, watch this, I'm going to get you, at least this is how I thought, is a form of, intimidation.
Go in there and say, you ain't taking my job.
Yeah. And then you get to see where I'm at, because I've already been in the league. I've been in the league. Let's say use Kinsey. I've been in the league 3 years. Regardless if I'm starting or not, I've been here. I know what
if you got the opportunity, you go.
I'm there. No way you're not getting my spot, because I'm fighting for this spot.
Yeah.
You in my way. I'm about to do it right now.
I'm about to big brother you. Yeah. Right? Like you're about to put them, but swirly them.
Hey, man, I'm all nice out there, but, hey, when I'm getting my reps in, you're not going to be, nope,
It will be interesting to see. I do like this, because they don't even have really. Listen to this.
As I'm saying, do you get to see like the competitive nature of an athlete is just it's like cancerous. Like it's really bad.
Well, think about the offensive line, right? I mean, we know there's 16 UDFAs, but the only offensive lineman is Brandon Crenshaw Dixon, and then you have. I
do half a line.
Jackson Slater that you drafted, so you got 2 linemen. So obviously, if I'm Jalen Duncan, that's a guy that John
he better have his big butt out there, man.
They need to be out there.
Come on, man. He's borderline roster. Hey, man.
Yeah.
You better get ready. One of these undrafted dudes could beat you out. You don't. Hey, man.
I like this Brandon Crenshaw Dixon guy as a project. I don't know if he'll make the final 53, but this is a guy that I think he had great tape.
We're talking about the Florida guy?
Yeah, the Florida guy.
Because he transferred from somewhere else. He went somewhere else for 3 years.
Sure,
he went to Florida his last year. I remember I was reading their bios a couple of days ago when they put him out there. I want to say it was somewhere on the East. I don't remember. I just remember he went to Florida.
San Diego State.
Yep, there it was.
He went from San Diego State and then just allowed 1 sack of 403 pass attempts as a redshirt sophomore, started all 14 games, then transferred to Florida for his final season where he appeared in all 12 games, 11 starts at right tackle, and he led the team twice in highest PFF offense grade with allowing 0 sacks individually. I really like what he brings as far as violence and size. I know RK Dub this morning, Ramon thought that maybe he's going to be a guard at the next level, but with the state of the tackle room right now, I think that would be having him stay at right tackle to be maybe push as a guy behind J.C. Latham and give him some shots at guard, obviously, because you want to have that swing tackle versatility, but like, I think he's got that dog mentality that Jalen Duncan has. Yeah, he's got that dog mentality that Jalen Duncan has. He's a fighter. He's got strength and all that kind of stuff and puts people in the dirt and all that kind of stuff. He doesn't have the athleticism maybe.
Guard.
But yeah, so that's where it's at. So that's where Ramon wanted to put him was guard.
That's why Jackson had playing guard.
There you go. When we come back, we'll go to your phone.
You play guard.
I did play guard.
See?
Yeah. When we come back, we'll go to your phones. We got Tony on the line who wants to talk about Xavier Estrepo. This is Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone.
Guard. Guys, if something is holding you back from performing at your best, it's time to do something about it with performance enhancement treatment packages from Edge Peptide. Whether in the gym or on the course, with Edge Peptide hormone therapy, you can show up stronger, feeling better, recover faster, and stay in the game longer. So you get to boost your energy, build some lean muscle mass, and heal from those nagging injuries like I have. So as an athlete myself, I know how those injuries can affect your game. So if you're struggling with the joint pain and suffering from a recent injury or looking to recover faster after surgery, Edge has you covered. From peptide packages like PRP to stem cells, high film muscle stimulation, Edge is your exclusive Nashville area peptide specialist. So don't wait till summer to feel your best, and don't trust your health to some online pharmacy. And remember, at Edge, your consultation fee of $250 is waived with your initial order. So give them a call today at 615-724-1878. That's 724-1878.
Two Rivers Ford announces employee pricing for everyone. Every tradesman, every dad, every rising star. You pay what we pay. Two Rivers Ford. Locally owned. American made.
Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone, powered by all Four Seasons Garage Doors. 615-737-1045 is the number. Let's go to Tony, who wants to talk about Xavier Restrepo. Tony, you're on with Blaine and Zach.
Hey, how's it going?
Going good. How are you?
What's going on, Tony?
Good, good. Hey, I had a question. Do you think that sometimes the combine hurts players because a lot of players don't run the combine if they're hurt or whatever? And I think Xavier Restrepo, based on his tape, he would have been drafted in the 3rd or 4th round by some team just based on his tape alone. I think running the combine hurt him tremendously and cost him money. So what do y'all think about that?
Did he run at the combine? I know he's talking about more his pro
day. Because I've seen a few people say combine, but it's the pro day that hurt him.
Because he was injured for the combine, right? Or he didn't get invited. Was he there?
He was there, but I think he chose not to run.
Right, which is, but it was his pro day, which a lot of people saying he would have had somewhat of a hammy or something.
Right.
In the 4-7.
He himself came on to Twitter to say, well, I pulled my hamstring in the middle of the first one, quote unquote, is what he said.
Well, he's tough now. Don't get me wrong. Now, I don't put anything past this guy as far as toughness, but it's going to be interesting. Sometimes players, we were just discussing this off air, is, the NFL it doesn't correlate with NCAA football. So what happens is the speed of the game is much faster. It's the elite of the elite. So then do your eyes and body get taken to the next level? And some guys have maxed out at their level. And when I say level, I'm talking about their speed. Can they get faster? Can they get stronger? Can they do these worldly things? And some guys can't meet it. I don't care if you went to Notre Dame, Alabama, or Berry College. It doesn't matter. Some guys just get better as they go along, and some guys are just halted right there where they were at college, even though they were an All-American, and they never get any better. It's unpredictable. I wish I could come up with some form of a machine or something to equate that. And I think it has to do with your eyes, because I could say for me, when I first got out there, guys would run by me, and I did not even see their jersey number. I mean, seriously. And it's like, oh, man, this is in my first time starting. It's like, this is way different than practice, And then each game, we only have 4 games. The game starts slowing down each and every game. And so while that was happening, that's why I say his eyes, is I start building more confidence that, now it's starting to be feeling like I am back in college. I can see everything that's happening, and then you start responding and reacting. I don't know why that happened, but I can tell you what happened through the process and how fast it looked in the beginning when I started to the 4 games at the end, to say, now I know I'm about to be good. I know what I feel, and some guys just don't progress to that level. And I couldn't even put a price tag or why that happened. I could have got stuck there too.
Yeah, I just wonder, it's just so hard if you're not fast to break through. Because everybody's like, well, he could be Wes Welker. I've seen that in the chat. Well,
he could be.
He could be. That was also one guy out of a million slow guys that have came in, I mean, that you're hoping for an exception. I get it, rooting for the exception to happen.
Yeah.
But we're just trying to set realistic expectations because I think
I'm
what
a fan of
everybody's...
him. I want him to do well. But
I want him to do well. There'd be nothing better than to say that, hey, this undrafted free agent that got 1,000 yards at Miami 2 years in a row was able to get 1,000 yards for your team.
Yeah.
There's nothing better than that.
I'm going to say this. I think he needs to get down to 195.
Yeah.
I'm just going to say that. The guy has quickness, so he can definitely get in out of his breaks. But the speed is going to be a factor in this. And so when you see a guy that's 210 at his height, that's running back.
Yeah.
When you see a guy his height, that he needs to be in the 190 something to be a wide receiver in this league and to be effective like he was somewhat in college, to have a shot, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I could be totally wrong, but we shall see. I mean, he's a thick dude, man. 210 at 5'10"?
Right.
Oh, man.
He's thick. Let's go to Keith. Keith, you're on with Blaine and Zach. Hello, Keith.
Yeah, I think that's Kenny, but I was going to call and say Westbrook kind of reminds me a little bit of Anquan Bolden when he came out. Like, he didn't have the blazing speed, you know what I'm saying? But, you know, he had that type of skill set where he could get separation, you know, and out-physical a guy. You know, he might not be as tall as Anquan Bolden, but he kind of reminds me of that type of player.
Yeah.
Thanks,
That's a good comp, even though he hasn't had the size. I think he ran a 4.7 when he came out, and he still dominated just like he did in college. But he is one of the rare guys that has happened to. We could talk about Jennings. What did Jennings run? Didn't he run a 4.7, 4.8? And we see he's
It was
third.
in that range.
Bonafide could be a 2 at times in the National Football League. But we watched him play. This dude was a dog, and he was going to find a way to make plays. It's just no way. And he has size and length. So
I always caution people, if you have to go back to like the 2000s at this point to find your example, it's trouble. That to me, you guys are, and I just say, hoping for the exception the exception is not the rule. What you got, Jackson?
Jawan ran a 4.72.
Okay.
And you could tell he wasn't fast, but he was fast enough, and he got out of his breaks really well. And as I said, though, his wingspan and his athleticism was on par. The only thing was his speed. And, you know, you never noticed it in the game. He sure looked fast enough until he ran a 40. So maybe that happens. But he, you know, with Restrepo, but he doesn't have length. He doesn't have super-duper athleticism. We're talking about, you know, Jennings who go in the gym and, you know, start 360 dunking.
Yeah,
You're not seeing that from Restrepo.
At the pro day, he weighed in at 209 pounds. The Titans depth chart already has him at 202.
Okay, so hopefully he get in and have 190.
If we can believe this Titans depth chart, we got to make sure that, you know, teams sometimes fudge those numbers. But
and how much is he getting to work when he had somewhat of an injury with his hammy?
Exactly.
You know? So that's always tough too.
Just what'd you say, Jackson?
Nothing.
Just talking in my ear.
You were going to talk about Jennings?
I said y'all can go a minute late here.
Well, I was actually going to go out in time, but this gives me time because I made a promise. So yesterday, Blaine, I was in here because Lucas and them were out on remote at the Hermitage Golf Course for Buddy Allen Carpet One golf tournament. So I was in here, and a phone call was coming in towards the end of their show. Jackson didn't want to answer it for our show, so I just picked up the phone in here and I answered it. And I don't remember the guy's name, but he just wanted to let people know that there is something big that is cooking down in Eagleville this weekend. Oh. And so here's what it is. There is a 16-year-old contestant, 16-year-old contestant from Eagleville, Tennessee on American Idol. She has a chance to get into the top 3 this weekend. And if she's from Eagleville, Tennessee, and if she makes into the top 3 with Sunday and Monday night's votes, so everybody within the sound of my voice should at least just find the number for American Idol, whatever it is, and vote for Maddie Pruitt, whether she's good or not. Maddie Pruitt. And if they do it, then on Wednesday in Eagleville, there'll be a parade and a concert with Maddie Pruitt that American Idol will be there for and film. So just a huge moment for Eagleville. And I'm so glad I answered that phone call that Jackson didn't want to take. I'm a man of the people.
And he said, with that being said, we got to go.
We got to go. This has been Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 105 The Zone. Y'all have a good weekend. 3HL's up next. And in the meantime.
And in between time.
Peace.